add things in
My gosh.
as I type, then like I'll just share one with you. That's like my best way to do it. That way you don't have to like take a picture of it or transfer it over. Is that okay, Amanda?
Can you put me on
That's how we do it at work. That's perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to share it with both of you guys, and then that's my easiest way to do. And then yeah, add things in. I won't feel bad if you
over you.
Backspace.
Yeah. Put up some angry emojis, whatever. That's okay. We're good.
Question mark. So here's what I know for sure. Let's go back to it. I know the retreats are working. They are converting to the DTLC. We know, well, let's start at the very beginning of the pipeline. I know speaking is working. So speaking is working. I know that when I speak and when others speak, people want to know more, especially if we've done it right. We've added in something about the DTL, and then people come up and ask questions. We know that, so speaking is working. We know that Studio 5 is working because we have someone who even came to a retreat from Studio 5, which I would not have guessed, to be honest. But we know that Studio 5 is building credibility and it's doing its sort of gathering thing. That's a gathering thing. So let me just talk about the gathering things we know are working. Studio 5 is working. The books are working, even though we don't emphasize it. People are still reading books. One of the gals that's coming to the retreat in June did a book club ordering my 40 Days with the Savior. I had no idea people are even buying that book. I don't even know if the links work. Like they're tomato plants. I haven't done anything with them. So the books are working. We know the podcast is working. People are listening to it and it's getting credibility, both podcasts, because the women are liking them. We know the Facebook Lives are working. At least it seems to me, and you guys can tell me if that's not the case. But again, it's creating that credibility and there's interest and there's views. And that includes the money mindset ones as well. So we know that they are leading out in those money mindset, and also just even the ones with the BYU women's conference takeaways, blah, blah, blah. So those are all creating credibility, doing their job. And the social media is working because people have seen posts and reels, and then they are doing a discovery call. So we know that those are working. While we're talking about it, just to the right, if you want to talk about like future things I know already we want to do, we want to increase our reels and the effectiveness of our reels. Mm-hmm. And we want to find a social media manager marketer, that's someone who gets social media marketing, that we can actually up level our social media. It's fine right now, and Lamaira's doing an amazing job and has been for, especially she's had to just jump in and learn this stuff. But we both talked about, we want to have a social media marketer who can come in, get the big picture, and then know what we need to do and how to do it and what's kind of cutting edge, but then what's also time tested. Okay, so that's the umbrella, upside down umbrella that starts funneling people in. So then the next thing is actually speaking is our main way. If I know I want to try to really emphasize conversion to a retreat, speaking is one of the #1 ways for us to do that. If I go speak somewhere, we have a high chance of having 3 or 4 people who want to, 5 to 10 people want to do a discovery call, maybe 3 to 4 people convert to a retreat. So speaking is something we definitely want to do. So onto the right of that, if you want to put very niche focused speaking, and I actually want to have someone that's their job, is my speaking assistant, that they actually go in, look for speaking assignments. They're the ones that really spearhead this. So the next on that funnel is discovery calls. We know that discovery, and if I'm sharing something, you're like, I don't know that that's true. We need kind of more evidence on that. Let me know. Discovery calls we know are converting. My conversion rate on discovery calls personally are between 80 and 90%. I know that we are now delegating that out, which is a very good thing. I still want to be in discovery calls because that's still a very, I'm kind of still a masthead of what's going on. So I know that's a very key way for us to make sure that the retreats are still filling with really good women, blah, blah, blah. But we want that delegated out. So if you want to put underneath that, delegating that out, she's got those links that are already ready for everyone. I want us to have a CRM that to the right of that, if you want to put CRM, a working CRM that we can all look at. Lamaira's already started it. It's already created by Acuity, and it has tabs for each of our names. I would love to have a main CRM. So at a glance, we can see how is it going with our calls. And I do want to see conversion rate, because even I want to see my conversion rate. I was always asking Lamaira, what's my conversion rate? Not because I'm trying to, okay, how many can we close, blah, blah, blah. I want to know if what we're doing is working. I don't want to do something that's just like, we think it's working, but it's not. So I need a CRM that shows main at a glance conversion plus everybody's individual lists of people that they're working on, and then a way for us to see on a main list who's over who. Because if Katrina's reached out to this Wendy Jones, not the original OG, but this Wendy Jones gal, and then Wendy Jones, she did like a year later, she does a discovery call with me. I don't know that. So I'm just chatting away and thinking that it's my discovery call. I would have put her back on Katrina. I would have said, you know what? I think Katrina can answer your questions unless Katrina feels like she can't answer them or she thinks I'm going to be a better fit. So then I'm happy to do that. But the protocol on the discovery calls is you meet someone, you talk to them, you do the discovery call and you close that. So that's the idea behind that. So discovery calls are working. Then the discovery call goes to the retreat. Now, backing up just really quick, go back up to the umbrella things. We are creating a new life shift quiz, for lack of a better word. It's the life shift quiz. It's now going to be the speaker, writer, media presence for him quiz. I've asked Lemire to put that as priority after the holidays, after the last week of school. That's priority. It's our life shift quiz. We still have people signing up on that every week. They are warm leads. We do nothing with them. I do nothing with them. So we actually, to the right, if you could put someone needs to be over that. Now I've talked to Lemire. When she did her Strengths Finder thing, Elise said hers would be really good at reaching out to women and being a first contact for DTL because she's warm, she's loving, she finds out where they're at, wants to know, and then can be a hub and say, I think you would do a really good job if you wanted to know more information. She would fit with Katrina because her emphasis is family, or she'd fit with so-and-so. So Lemire could be kind of that first step hub. I don't know. She said, yeah, she's thinking about it. She thinks it's a good idea. But anyway, put that down, Lemire hub. We don't know, but we need to get that life shift quiz so that we are getting those warm leads. DTLAs would then take those warm leads. So maybe with discovery calls, these leads, it would be, you as DTLAs would contact those leads. And that would be another way for you to earn those angel bonuses, because that's what would lead to the discovery call and then to the DTLC interview, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so as far as for lead gen, that's what we're looking at. And then on that same thing, challenges. So we have our speaker in a day. We have our speaker challenge, and then our find your purpose challenge. We want to emphasize those more coming up. Excuse me. So put the challenges under there, and we would love those are to be evergreen. So to the right, if you want to put, make sure they're evergreen, make sure those are cleaned up and they're good, and we know that we can get them out and we can start putting Facebook ads with.
And those two, what were those two challenges? It was the
speaker challenge and the purpose challenge. So that kind of hits the Aaronic level purpose and then the Melchizedek level speaker challenge. And right now we're just emphasizing speaker, because then if you want to put underneath that in that umbrella thing, that events, that's kind of not under the umbrella. It's sort of like a little mini bridge because it's events. And we do want to do more with the speaker in a day. So before we hit discovery call, it's kind of with speaking and events. So if you want to put those two together, unless you have a better way to go about it, speaking is sort of included with that or connected to speaker in a day. But speaking would be all of us speaking, but particularly me. And then speaker in a day is a way that we are all involved in something that's speaking. But that is all to generate discovery calls to lead to the retreats so that we can fill them ourselves. So on the speaker in a day event, what I would love to see is that we have a DTLA that's over that. If you want to put that to the right, DTLA that is over speaker in a day. And that way we know that she's the go-to, and this is something she loves to do. I need this to all be zone of genius for people, not like, okay, fine, I'll be on that committee this year, right? We need people to go through it and to have helped with it so that as a DTLA, they're familiar with it for sure, but they don't need to spearhead it. They don't need to be a director over it or whatever. But we need a speaker in a day person that's over those things. We know that speaker in a day converts. We got discovery calls from that. We have people who came to retreat from that. We have people who are in the DTLC who came from the speaker in a day. Didn't we have someone who, no, we didn't have a conversion yet from DTLC, from speaker in a day.
we haven't yet. And I always wonder, I know the price point. I know, I think we got to just play with the price point with that, because the people that came from that are people who don't have the ability
Exactly.
to pay the higher budget.
They're for that Aaronic level, right? Until they can get to that place. But here's the thing, they will at some point. And with custom fit, if you want to put down somewhere, I don't know where you want it. Custom fit is one of our most important things right now. And I've talked with Michelle about it. I'm calling this gal this morning. I emailed Camille Pendleton at UVU, who is our small business specialist, that is our affiliate. And I asked her, who knows custom fit, who's over that? And she gave me the name of those. I already talked with Michelle, and Michelle is going to spearhead it after I do the initial contact call. The three of us are going to meet, unless Amanda and Lamira also want to be on it. I'm trying to be really effective with our time use. We'll record the call. And then if you ladies want to watch it, or if you want to sit in on it, for sure, totally can. But we're getting the information, and then Michelle is going to spearhead this, because what can happen is, Diane, you don't know this yet, but I went to lunch with a friend of mine, dear friend, Jenny Layton. I've done discovery calls with her. She's been interested in this for a couple of years, but it's not been the right time. Went to lunch. She had some other questions. So we ended up talking for like an hour, hour and a half about it, and didn't even hardly get to the personal stuff we wanted to catch up on. Anyway, she's really interested, but the money factor was, I've already invested in some of these things to up level my next level. I don't know if I've already got so many pieces. I don't know if this would be a good help, but the DTLC is where she would need us, and we could totally help her with that. So she already went in and did custom fit. She already started the application. She asked me what the names of the things would be. So I would love to brainstorm. If we have time today, we can, but put on a little to-do list, brainstorm what the categories would be of what we offer for both retreat and DTLC and speaker in a day training. Because if people wanted to get speaker in a day training, they could. It probably, custom fit maxes out at $4,000 unless you get special permission. And then if it's over $4,000, you have to have 2 different bids. And my idea is, if we work with this gal, her name's Kathy. If we work with this gal, she vets us, she knows what we do, then we don't probably need to have that 2-step bid thing. We can probably just pipeline this, and she will be like, yeah, we already know you guys, we've already vetted you. It's just a matter of getting this pipeline set. This is a big, important thing. And I'm not sure who needs to go with it or go through it or do it, but I know this is vital. I think this is going to be the vital piece of us scaling what we do, because it takes it from a $2,000 retreat to now it's maybe $1,200 or something like that. It takes the retreat, from $2,000 to $1,200 or something like that, whatever is 60%. And then the DTLC, if they get special permission, well, then they'd only be paying $600 a month instead of $1,000 a month. And that could be a deal breaker for people, like a deal maker, where they go, oh, and then I can do that. It's about $500 a month. I can do that. I can make that work, right? So custom fit is going to be a huge piece of this. And that's what we can offer when we are at Speaker in a Day. I just talked to Amanda about this. When we're at the retreat in June, I want to try it out. We've been really hesitant, my bad, but I've also felt like we need to be really solid that what we do converts, and it works, and it does. So I feel we can be more bold in the retreat to actually talk about what we do, our DTLA, and let them know, look, I've been hesitant, but we have so many questions. And in your one-on-one, we only have 20 minutes. I end up, ladies, it's a miracle that anyone is in DTLC. I end up talking about DTLC and what we do on average, 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes for them to make a $12,000 decision. Like, that's insane. So what that is that the retreat and the discovery call and all of those pieces have actually helped them make that decision. And then it's just me helping them get to a place of commitment. And then even then it takes them the weekend, sometimes, a lot of times, to be able to make that decision, pray about it, and then say yes. It's so much better if we don't blindside them in that one-on-one, but instead share it openly. Maybe Friday before lunch or right after lunch, before we hit the speaker showcase, then we talk about DTLA. We talk about what we do in the DTLC and these skills and what you can learn and how it can help you, blah, blah, blah. Do maybe a little video showcase thing. So in 3 minutes, it gives them the whole download, and then someone just gives a testimonial of their personal experience. So what's your thoughts on that?
So my question for the custom fit is, I'm wondering if they would do month to month. I think that might be what the big hardest thing is that might be, well, we need to know that it's $12,000. And so we'll pay X amount. And then I guess at that point we could say, well, we'll break up the rest for you. And then, I don't know, like, I'm wondering if they need to see, because because what's her name said that they have to see that you paid for it before they reimburse you. You have to pay for it first. And then
that's a good point. And that's a good point. And I do think it's still a bonus for them if they know that I'm going to pay it but then I'm going to get paid back, and it'll probably be within 30 days. So what would actually happen if they're smart about it, and we can teach them that money principles, is that's what I do with one of my rental investments. I get the payment comes in, but my rental payment comes out at a different time. So I have to stockpile it. I've actually saved up a whole month's worth before, so that I always have that payment, even though the timing of the rental payment and the income is different. And I have to make sure that matches every month. So I've stockpiled that to make sure that it does that. But if we could set it up with them where we tell them, this is the best way for you to go about it, pay for the first month, keep it in reserve. And then every month, you're always going to have the amount that you need, no matter how long it takes for them to reimburse, which should be 30 days.
So what if, okay, just another idea. What if because if Custom Fit needs them to pay for the first amount, like a chunk, and then they'll reimburse them that, maybe we say you pay, I don't know, $3,000 up front. Custom Fit is going to reimburse you whatever, the 40% is of that. And then that is going to lower their payments for the rest of it, right? So then we wouldn't worry about Custom Fit for the following months. So if they start out $3,000, to pull this up, Amanda, are you good at numbers?
So I love that idea. My concern with that is usually the women don't have a lot in their account. They can do it monthly because they're taking it out of their budget and taking it out of their budget. So my concern would be, I don't think when I talk to them, their concern isn't, oh, I have 3,000 in the bank, so I'm good. That's not their concern. Their concern is, how do I make this monthly payment and run it by my husband and it's okay with him, right? So if they had the monthly help, that would be huge. So I don't know, you're right. We need to, and I don't want to take time on this right now, but we'll find out from Custom Fit. If you want to put that question down, what's the best way for us to work with this with the women? If it was month to month like that, or even if it was one big swoop, like say we said it's a $12,000 program, and then they give that 40% or whatever, we would need to require that from the women, and we would apply it to their payment every month, but they wouldn't see it, right? They would have to sign over in a contract that they would sign over to us, because the water heater is going to go out.
Amanda put down she would love to be part of the Custom Fit thing.
Yes.
So maybe that's,
yeah. And I was just going to say too, I do this all the time with some of my clients already for tutoring. The district is actually paying for them to receive compensatory ed, and they have to pay the first 2 months before the district will even reimburse. And I'm telling you, when they know the funding is there, they find the first 2 months. They find it somewhere, and it's never an issue. They are always like, nope, as long as we know something's coming in and we're getting reimbursed, they find a way to make it work. And if they don't, Diane, then it's not the right time. Right? They still have some things that they've got to do. It's not the right time. So I think that will just work itself out.
And I do like that we don't have to change the price. It still calls people out. So I think if you're in agreement, I think we'll get the information. We'll get this. Amanda, that's great. If you want to spearhead that, that would be fantastic. I'll call this lady and then we can meet together. And then if you want, if you can decide how much you want to take on of this, or if you want to pull in Michelle, and then she can be the one that runs all that back end. But I would love your savvy, your money mindset savvy.
I think Michelle with me would be really good, because she'd be able to do the things, the details and all that back end stuff.
And she's so good with those. Okay, if you're good with it, I think if we get the information in time and everything, I think we should do a little presentation on this at the retreat. So Amanda, if you want to spearhead that, would you be willing to do that? Okay.
Yes. Let me know when you have everything set up. I am still wrapping up the school year, so
don't even
let me know what you have scheduled.
You don't need to worry about this right now. We can even do this a week before the retreat. I'm not worried about it, because I know we can just do it like that. So I'm not stressed, and we'll get the information on it. Okay, so that was a little segue. That's the speaking and speaking events. Now on the speaking events, if you want to kind of put this next to it, not like future things to do, but just the idea with the speaker in a day. Diane, the protocol, the pipeline that we want to lay with this. And again, show me if there's gaps or if there's things that like, Connie, I don't think you're seeing this. The idea is we want to have a pipeline protocol that we go into an area, a city or whatever, a state, and we have this pipeline. So we seed bed. First, it's people that we see that are making comments that are from maybe a certain area, or maybe it's an area we're not servicing. So for right now, like St. George, even up in Logan area and Ogden, I know there's a ton of women who love this stuff, but they don't necessarily want to travel down here. So it would be in our best interest to start doing some of these speaker in a days in these different places. Now we can do that if DTLAs and these committees are spearheading this, because then we're just templating this. You just reserve a Saturday, we find a venue, and boom, we just go do our thing, choose our 3 speakers, boom, we go, we do, we leave. And it's great. We connect with them, and then discovery calls. Now we're having regular discovery calls and filling retreats. So with prepared women, I always want you to know that's implied. I just don't want it to be fill retreats. I want to be careful on our social media with that too. I saw that the other day and I was like, I don't want it to just be, we just filled our retreat. And then the next sentence was, we have amazing women coming. I'm like, okay. So, the speaker in a day events, if we go out of state, the first one we'll probably go to is California. California, Arizona, and Idaho would be the best places for us. Wendy Jones, I think, would be behind this the OG one, would be behind this in a heartbeat. If we go down and do a speaker in a day, and she could help us with knowing where venues are and things like that when we're ready. But if we go to California, the idea is we want a seed bed, do a speaker in a day event, make sure we have enough interest that we know professionally, personally, people would actually be there, attend. And then from there, the amount of discovery calls we could see, are they ready for a retreat there? And if we can do a retreat there, then we can start that whole process, because then they'll have friends and then they'll tell 2 friends and so on. So the protocol that we have is social media, or let's just say upside down umbrella, our funnel starter, which is all those, speaking, speaker a day, but I mean, not speaker a day, speaking, Studio 5, blah, 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 all the things. Then we go to the speaker in a day, and that's seed bedding. And then we have the speaker in a day event that should give us discovery calls. And then that pipelines right into the usual discovery call, retreat, DTLC, blah. So are we on the same page so far? Okay. So if we have that pipeline, what I am seeing is that, okay, the next thing that's converting is the retreats, and we put that down. I feel like we're good. We did good with 12. I'm wondering, I feel like we could go up to as many as 15, but I don't want to go more than that, because I feel like women can start sitting back and they're not involved and they're not getting breakthroughs. Any thoughts on the number?
Yeah, and I think it's having qualified help also with the DTLAs, who else can coach, because I know that, so we've had, we have maybe, can you pause the recording for a second?
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. So retreat protocol, we'll go through that, and we should do that before every retreat if you want to make a note of that, just to make sure it's a good refresher for everybody. So retreats are converting. We know that. We know 12 to 15 is a good number at this juncture. We know we're probably going to outgrow the Huntsville venue, but Lisa Cook has a sister-in-law that has a place right on the water that used to be a corporate retreat place. And I'm like, what? And we did our coaching call, and she's like, yeah, I'll let you know information. She thinks it can sleep 22, but like single people in beds, would probably be 15, maybe 17 or something, which would be perfect. So we'll find out, because it's such a gorgeous place. But we know the retreats are working. And then if you want to put to the right, just say we want to expand those retreats to up north in Utah, down south in Utah and St. George, and then California, Arizona, Idaho for right now, unless it makes sense. Someone's got a big following, like Alma's got a whole group that's ready for baptism, right? That, okay, there's a big group and we need to go there because they're ready for us to do a speaker in the day event, then that's what we could do. So retreats are converting. Any questions on retreats converting or any worries about that? Okay, let's go to DTLC. So we know that that the retreats are converting to DTLC, and we generally have 50 to 75% conversion, which is extremely high, extremely high. So I'm not too worried about that. We know there was a special case with this last one, which was really amazing in my mind. But we'll see what happens with June and see if we're back on track. Then we know it really was that tithing retreat, right? But if not, then we'll know that maybe there's some things that are amiss. But in this next retreat, we'll also have that potentially that thing for custom fit, which I think will actually give us a beta test of how well that is working. In 2 years of having that track record, I think we can pretty much say that, yes, it's converting to the DTLC. Now, the DTLC, we have been really clear that DTLC, the ROI of DTLC is the learning, that we're giving them the tool belt so that whatever the Lord wants them to do, they've got the tools to be able to go build whatever ship he asks them to build. So I want to make sure that that's clear. I feel like we absolutely give them incredible ROI if they will do what we're asking them to do. If they will do the things that we've assigned, if they do the curriculum, I feel like, yes, they get what we have said that they will get, and they get way more, in my opinion. I feel like we over deliver. I think where the problem comes is if women come in thinking they're going to make money right off the bat, or number two, if they don't follow what we've asked them to do and they want to do it their own way, and yet they still want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to do it their own way, take 8 months to even figure out their one big message, and then they're frustrated that they're not moving on to a track. So I feel like we can't really control that second one more than what we're doing, which is give agency, give them clear choice, say, this is what will happen if you continue to elongate this. You're going to miss out on these opportunities. But if you feel like that's your path, we're here to support you and what you feel strongly about. We're giving you the path that we feel like is going to be the most successful for you. So I feel like as long as we're doing that, we can stay true and say, we've done our job, right? We've done our accountability texts. We've done our calls. We've followed up with them. We've given them the coaching calls, opportunities. We've made space so that if they're like, I couldn't get on with you, you're like, you text me and I will find space, right? We've done our job. On the first one, I think it's all about clarifying and qualifying with the women. So when we have our discovery calls, if you want to make a note, we need to be clear with the women that I am not promising you ROI. We've seen women who have gotten ROI quickly. I think Wendy Jones, right out of the gate, she had 21 people at her retreat. I have right off the bat, but we've also seen women take a whole year and they didn't make a dime because they were still working on these internal things and kind of creating their whole message of what it was they were doing. So it's really up to the person and it's up to the Lord. The Lord's timing and timetable for them, we will never trump that. But what we can always say is that they are going to experience abundance in Teamer with the Silent H. I've seen it over and over. Unless you guys have something that you're like, Connie, I don't know that we can actually make that promise. I've watched because I don't want to promise that. I never want to promise something we can't back up. But I've watched people even being connected to us for just a little bit. I've seen them become more abundant, and it's either personally, emotionally, financial, whatever. They've just had this up-leveling experience. So any thoughts on that?
So no, I think that, no, I'm just thinking, so like what somebody like, one of the women might need is they want to see, give me proof that this is the way you're doing this is going to help me do, A, B, and C. I think that's a matter of time. Eventually time will help them to be able to see, oh, well, so-and-so, well, she started out as a DTLC. She joined us a year and a half or 2 years ago, and here she is now, and so-and-so, and so-and-so, be able to point out where the successes are. Because, and I know that sometimes like the Angela and the Wendy Jones, like occasionally those names are kind of dropped, but maybe somehow just be able to have a list of these are the women who have
what I was just thinking.
Done this, and show the proof.
Show the proof, the social proof. Can you put a note to the right? We need to create a video and a testimonial file folder of what have women been able to do being in the DTLC and that range. Wendy Jones, Angela Ingo, what have they done? Where are they now? Let's have Nellie do a video, go interview them, get the mashup, pictures and things like that. I think 3 to 5 of those would be absolutely stellar. And then we can add new ones each year. So we have fresh videos that we can share. And then when we go in keynotes, we can show those videos. So I think like 2 to 3 minute video max. And also we have testimonials and static pictures and things like that we could actually post, where we have posts of where are they now? What have they done? What can you do being in the DTLC? This is what these women have done. So I love that. Let's make that an actual priority on social media and on our marketing to make sure that that's happening. So I love that. As soon as you started talking, I was like, yeah.
And can we also talk about ROI is not always tied to income?
Bingo.
Not. It is.
And that's what we want, different ones.
Yes. And if I like my physical therapy, right? If I do my exercise, what is my return on that investment of time that I've given? I'm going to be able to not have surgery on my shoulder. right? So I think that we just so focused a dollar sign to that, but it's so much more than a dollar sign. And
I love
knowing
it.
that ROI is on a timetable, you have to put something in to get something out.
Oh, I love that line. You have to, that you need to do it on a testimonial if you would. That's so you have to put something in to get something out. I love that. And then being able to share with them, you will see that the women experience abundance in time, energy, money, relationship, resources, or health. And the way they go about it is going to be as unique to them as their message is. So I love that. And in those 3 to 5, I would love to see that same thing. There's a variety, there's money, there's emotional, there's family impact, there's whatever it might be. And maybe what we could do is have a Google folder, a Google survey that we send out to people and then ask these very questions. And then we can go back and get video on them. So anyway, I don't want to go too many details.
Well, and then the other thing is to make sure that when women are coming in, I think maybe some of them feel like, well, I'm coming in and I'm here, like that's my main priority is the money. And so that's probably just one of those things that we need to
qualify.
That's a qualifying question. Or just to let them know that, yes, our ROI may include money, but it does not, we are not guaranteeing that you are going to make any amount of money back, because that's not necessarily how
that's not our focus works. No, and that's
not our focus.
So that was cute. I won't say her name because we're recording, but that was one of the gals that just in the last retreat that wanted to come to it. And I kept saying to her, like, every time I talked to her, I was like, something's off. And I kept saying, I don't know if we're the fit, what you're looking for. I think you're looking for one of those 10X places. She's like, no, I need this piece. I need the for him. I need the Lord. I need this. I'm like, okay. And then the day of that I was committed, I was like, the night before, she was like, I'm in, just put me in. And the next morning, she's like, no, I'm totally in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm reserving a space. Are you sure? She's like, yeah. And then 2 hours later, she's like, no, I'm going doing something different because she wanted to get the 10X, right? And I was like, it's a great qualifier. So I am bold about that. That's not something we need to hedge about or at all. We say, no, we're different. Like, we don't promise you what that is, but we promise you ROI. But these are the variety of ways that the Lord, you're going to see it in your life. And if that's not sure enough for you, this is not the place for you. So, okay. So let's quick switch gears, if that's okay. So I feel like the flow is all working after the retreat. After the DTLC, that's where it gets fuzzy. And that's my biggest question. So the ideas that we've had so far are after the DTLC, they can move into, these are just brainstorm ideas that we've had and things that I've wanted to do. I want an executive mastermind. So there's executive DTLA for those that want to continue on and do DTLA and want to be a part of this organization. That's great. I also would love to have an executive mastermind for women who come into the DTLC a lot like Jenny Layton, where they've already got pieces. They don't really need the retreat. They just want to come in and get pieces in the DTLC, but they are high level. They've already been doing business for 5 to 7 years or 10, but they've been raising their family, but they're sharp and they're savvy. I would love to have an executive mastermind that is like an accountability group. And we just have this connection that we have, but they pay into this because of experience and connections and things like that. And we could talk about how that could be set up another time, but I would love to have something like that. It's very high level. I know I'm looking for that. I've been looking for it for like 3-4 years, and we've created our own here. So I know other women are looking for that as well, that are very for him focused. So executive DTLA, executive mastermind, DTL mastermind, which is different than DTLA. It's just sort of like women who want to come into the fast track. And then for the women that are not joining the DTLC, we talked about possibly doing a subscription that was $47 a month that would just have the women come in and be helping each other. And we just had a DTLA presence that would just come on and put a thought-provoking question and say, great job, everybody. But we started to see also the concern about that the women are going to have questions. And then we're going to be in a position of saying, well, we can't answer that. That's what we answer in the DTLC. They're probably going to start feeling like this is just a seed bed for the DTLC and selling me all the time. So I don't know what to do, but I know it's a gap. We have a problem with, we can't just let people go at the end of DTLC and then nothing. That doesn't make any sense. Any thoughts? Right now we have the WhatsApp prior retreat attendees, but I don't think we even have a prior DTLC WhatsApp. And I think at the very least, we should have a prior DTLC WhatsApp that just says, we love you. Every now and then we pop on and say, hey, how's everybody doing? What are you up to? What's going on?
Well, the best place to do that, the best group kind of places is, I think, is on Facebook. I think Facebook does the best with their groups. But the problem with it, unless you want to create your own subscription community, and then because Facebook, they're just going to show you what they want to show you, right? So not everybody sees all of the updates.
And
I don't know, Connie, if you can go basic subscription level, $49 a month. I think we've got to come up with something more in the middle, because like maybe not middle, but I think to just be that low level, these are women who need help, and they need help, they need input, and so I think it's almost, we got to like maybe think of a different solution, maybe say, okay, well, if you don't want to join the DTLC, then we have this, it's maybe a little bit more a month, like $97 a month, so that whoever it is that's running that can get some reimbursement for that from those women. And it is not necessarily like a once a week, because I just don't know if you can put a once a week in there. Like
no.
As someone who's run these groups, I just don't see that happening.
What value would it be to those post DTLCers, right? Because then they can go, Ashley's already created an accountability group with a couple of the other women, and they've done their own thing because they're at a certain level. And like Wendy Jones was like, well, I've just made a group down here because I'm in Arizona and I don't do much with the women that are up here, right? So they've all kind of found their own groups. The other option that we can do is that we get together once a year. We invite all the DTLC people. We come in for our big grand, wherever, go to Puerto Vallarta, whatever. And we invite all the DTLC people. We give them a great discount. We have them come. And then where are you now? Right. And then at that event, we can also talk about the executive mastermind and see if they want to pipe in and come into that executive mastermind. So the thing that I hesitate, I love that idea, Diane, and I've thought of that same thing. The concern that I have is if we do anything other than the DTLC, one, we could cannibalize the DTLC, because why would someone do $1,000 a month when they feel like, well, I can, if you're going to bring in a speaker, or if you're going to give me a thought-provoking question, or if you're going to come on for a Q&A once a month, I'll totally just do that and glean everything I need. It would need to be that they're just helping one another, and we're not really, I mean, we're connected, but we're not actively a part of that. So then that's what leads me to think, and again, I'm throwing out some, so don't think I'm like negating what you're saying.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
So I'm thinking through this, and I'm thinking they can just do it on their own, DIY, like they're doing time out for women groups, right? They can just do it on their own. But if they want our help, then the dangling carrot, I agree, to keep that high level. They've paid $1,000 a month into DTLC. They're used to high level. We want high level women, and we want to keep them. The thing that would be a draw to working with us would be, we're connected. I've got networking thing. I'm vice president of our chapter, going to be president of our chapter. I've got people that I'm working with the Sorensen Center right now, and we're working on maybe curriculum where I'm going to be maybe involved with that. They get connected, and I can still refer them because they're still connected to us. If they're in the executive mastermind, just like we talked about the benefits for DTLA, then the executive mastermind would get some of those benefits. They'd get their picture and their stuff on our website. They'd get all of those kinds of things that would help them stay connected and keep growing, but they would need to be at that level of, I'm still serious about this. Like I want to move this forward.
I really like the idea of doing a once or twice a year event that we just say, if DTLC is not your, if that's just not going to fit right now, that I just want to let you know, in the spring and in the fall, every year, we do an event, we have everyone come together and we're going to, for a whole day, work on where you are in your business. So, we kind of go over some of the basics, but they've already heard some, a lot of the basics. So we say, you're invited to this day-long event.
And it would be a track.
Coaches there. We're going to, and so if there's something that you want to work on for that day, then you're welcome to come to this event. And then,
oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so sorry. You're totally inspiring me, because Costco sample, we'd have them come, and it's the executive mastermind track. They would come in, and we'd all wins and learning, just like the same thing we do. What have you done this last year? How's it been? Stand and deliver. Have everybody share for that first hour and a half or whatever. We all reconnect, right? Those warm feelings. And then it would be like your life vision. Let's do it. Let's get your biz viz, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, being able to say, this is a taste of executive mastermind. If you like this, then you would love executive mastermind. And give them a taste.
So can people do the executive mastermind without doing DTLC?
Yes, because that is a form of DTLC. It's the higher form. It's the executive mastermind. They would do it with me. So, or even like our core counsel or whatever, like 2 or 3 of us that are like,
what are you thinking? What are you thinking for like money wise for this? What's your idea of a range of what
this would be high level? So it would either
10,000. I mean, are we talking 5,000 a month? Are we talking like, what's high level to you?
Now, high level to me would be like, I mean, even Joe Polish with the Genius Network, it's 24,000 a year. So it's only 2,000 a month, right? And he's got tons of people. I'm thinking scale. I would rather have these pods of executive masterminds. That would be awesome. And then it offsets the cost as a mom and. So I'm thinking that 2,000 a year, 2,000 a month. But we could do that same thing. Either they get custom fit or we drop the price and say, look, you've invested in us. We're going to give it to you for $1,000 a month. And then you can go to custom fit and you can get, X amount, which is a no brainer. If they can have that kind of connection for $500 or even $1,000 a month, I think would be a no brainer. I would pay for it because I know the value of it. But that's what I want is women who would pay for the value.
Pay for the value. So yeah, so we would want, so at these, we go over the basics, make sure that they are still in their basic one big message. I still think like NSA, we just got to hash out one whole day of one big message. Oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts, Connie. That's okay. Sure thing. So you can be in charge of the mess. So it's the basics. It's saying, okay, is your one big message still this? Do you know your audience avatar? Here's your social media account.
And
like,
Diane,
right? Like review it all.
I love and adore you. And I know you remind me of Lamira because when I start talking about something, she's got by the time we finish, she's almost had the opt-in and she's got the whole system of it. And I'm like, I'm talking vision right now.
Okay.
I love you because we'll take this piece and then we'll hammer it out and go, how do we need to run this? But I love your idea of like, yeah, how high level are we looking? What's the basic idea behind this? I love this. You guys, Tanya's waiting to come in for a coaching call, but I love this. I feel like it's getting more and more clear. I think we need to just do a part 2 on this if you're okay with it. But I feel like we're getting more clear about the flow. I feel like we've had these gaps in the flow and we've known it. We just have been dealing with the ones in front of us, right? But I love this idea of this event. I love a spring and fall, maybe starting out one time a year, but then a spring and fall. And then this refresher, it's a refresher where they can come and they get refreshed about what they're doing. And then it gives them an invitation to be part of that mastermind. So we have the executive mastermind of just women coming in that have been in the DTLC, and we could either combine it with the DTLA, executive DTLA, or we can have it separate. The thing I like about it separate for the executive DTLA is because I'm thinking vision of pieces is I like that it's very specific to the training of DTLA and what we're doing. So I think it's good to keep that apart, but I think DTLAs can sit in and be a part of this executive mastermind. I think that would be a great benefit. They're hanging with all these women and connecting, and it would be amazing. So I'm feeling really good about these pieces. And again, we're inviting them. If they come to this 1 to 2 event a year, invite them into the executive mastermind. If not, they're still just being invited to connect with us every year. And I think that should be.
Because a lot of them aren't going to be ready for them quite yet, but then they might be ready for the DTLC.
Then, exactly. So, and I think
so then we sell it year. They're saying, look, you've already done all this. You are welcome to join the DTLC. You don't have to go back to a retreat. Come and join us. And so it would be another feeder into the DTLC. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think if we at that yearly event, let's just call it the yearly event, we invite anyone who's been part of retreat and DTL and DTLC. Everyone's invited because you're part of the DTL family. And then we've got those options. You've got just come and enjoy, come and see, or you've got, well, do you want to join the DTLC or do you want to be part of the executive mastermind? Where are you? I think that's beautiful. I think it is genius. I think we're
pretty much genius. It's true.
Now the Lord, maybe had a little bit to do with it, but whatever. Yeah. All right.
And Connie, I would say too, we might want to start thinking about qualifying questions too, because qualifying questions are going to look different for a woman who needs executive and who needs DTLC. Like you don't want to put somebody who they're not clear in an executive. That's going to be frustrating on both levels.
Can you put that down for discovery calls and let's practice that? Because that qualifying question needs to be in the discovery call of where they're at. Now, we as coaches should probably be able to see that from the pieces they have or don't have, but that needs to be a section of those questions of Well, on those pieces, that pieces question, what pieces do they have and what have they actually done? Some of the ladies go, oh, I got that piece, I've got that piece. But then Diane's found, they come in and they're like, that piece is not done, right? They think it's done, but it's not. So it needs to be done to the DTL level. So that needs to be a qualifying question. And also for anything that we do that's beyond just that initial discovery call, keep qualifying at the retreat and the DTLC interview, qualifying.